You're right, guys. Welcome to the latest episode of Muscle Owl Talks. So, a couple of weeks ago, there was this ruling of the bus drama with the disability bus ruling. Michaela, do you want to explain it? What was it all about?
Yeah.
And most importantly, because we've seen the decision now, and there was a lot building up to it. Essentially, what does it mean? And kind of what do we feel about the whole scenario? And what are the different permutations of it, really?
Yeah, so it's difficult. I think, first of all, we need to understand what actually led to this. So 4 years ago, believe it or not, it took 4 years to get to this point. Polly, who is a wheelchair user, tried to take the bus so that he could have a meeting with his parents, and Pram was in the designated wheelchair space, which had a sticker on it that said, please keep this as a priority for wheelchair users. So he asked the bus driver if he could ask the person with the pram to move. She said that her pram wouldn't come down, so she wasn't going to move. And he couldn't get on the bus and missed the meeting with his family as a result, to the best of my knowledge. So he pursued that through the courts and initially won under the guise of discrimination under the Equality Act. And then that was appealed by the bus company. They won their appeal, and then Mr. Crowley brought it to the Supreme Court. It's this Supreme Court ruling that has such a vested interest for us, because although it was only a partial ruling, they didn't award their property damages the way that the initial ruling had. But it was found that they didn't do enough to secure him passage on the bus. So, and again, it's confusing because nobody really knows how far this is going to stretch. They've said that no bus conductor has a right or a legal power to remove somebody, but they do have the power of civil disobedience, if you like, and a moral obligation. They say that moral pressure should be applied to people to try and remove them from the bus if that's the case. So yeah, it's complicated, and it'll be interesting to see just how far this stands, because it will apply anywhere where there's a sticker or some sort of identification to something that says this is priority for wheelchair users. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out in the long run.
And essentially, for people watching in America, Australia, different countries, as to where they might have different rules and different circumstances, maybe countries where public transport is, is potentially underdeveloped, and they're still trying to formulate rules with this. What really is it that we're looking for in terms of disabled access? What do we want to achieve? What if there's a pram with a child in it? Does that mean that the mother is now forced to take the child out and fold up the pram, or what's the scenario?
I think this is where we don't know. It's so ambiguous in many cases. I think it's going to take a few test cases before we probably know really where we stand, and more guidance is going to have to be issued. I think from the ruling, what I understood from it was that a reasonable amount of moral pressure should be put on the mother to move the pram. It is seen that there are a number of safe spaces for a child on a bus, but only one for a wheelchair user, and that's in that one space on the bus. So, I always go back to the Rosa Parks analogy. Rosa Parks got to sit wherever she wanted to on the bus, and just one day refused to move. Disabled people just want to get on the bus in the first place. We're not really all fussed where we sit, we just want to be safe. So, I always like people to keep that in the back of their minds. But disabled people are parents as well. I know one disabled person who's a wheelchair user and has 2 young children here, both from France. And that is a whole other issue. We need to look at bus design as well and see how we can fit both in together. In some cases, there are room for both. It's just a matter of people using a little bit of common sense and realizing, if I move a few inches, we can both travel together. And, that's important because it allows disabled people to get to work. It allows disabled people to get to the shops and spend some money. It's beneficial for all of society in so many ways. And I think we overlook that sometimes when we're talking about buses versus prams. And it's really not about buses versus prams. It's about the fact that we need to look at this seriously and see, where wheelchair priority really does take priority, and how we can all live in harmony without having to discriminate on either side.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing. It's trying not to discriminate. It's not saying wheelchairs are better than prams, or it's not, misunderstanding the plight of a mother who, if for me, from my point of view, if a mother is having trouble kind of, getting her child out of her pram or moving the pram elsewhere, then that's fine. It's really just there to say, in my perspective, it's really just there to say, if that pram can be moved and someone can get out of the pram, that's not something that often someone who uses a wheelchair can do. And there's not another space on that bus for a wheelchair user. So I think it's really just trying to work everything into one.
There's so often a pram can fall down, very many wheelchairs don't. I remember being in a very famous theme park in France, and we were going to get the shuttle bus over, and we went to get on the bus, and it was flooded with prams, and they were all jammed into this one little tiny wheelchair space. And okay, these people needed their prams, but all of them folded. They could all be folded and sat on the seat in front of them, trying to be perfectly safe, and there was me having to wait for the next one. And when the next one came along, exactly the same thing happened again. So, it's about thinking clearly about what you're doing, both for disabled people and for parents with prams and buggies. You need to think about what you're doing and how parity of esteem plays in. I really do think it's a parity of esteem issue, and making sure that everybody can contribute equally to society. The buses are accessible 9 times out of 10. It's getting onto them now. Unfortunately for me, this doesn't apply to Northern Ireland. We still are stuck in the days of the Disability Discrimination Act. So we're governed by slightly different laws. And my bus, I can't get on unless I go into the depot. So there's no real point in me getting onto the bus next time I go.
This is the irony of all of this, actually, is that, we have these rulings and everything, but actually people in prams and mothers who use prams, they should never have to worry, because you're never ever going to be getting on that bus, because in all likelihood, you probably can't anyway. So
yeah, well, I've been told by the bus company here that that for me to get on the bus, I have to travel 5 miles into the nearest town. Actually, the second nearest town, to their depot, get on the bus there, and I'm not allowed off at any point until the end of the line. So that doesn't really go very well, does it?
Yeah.
There's a lot more work to be done here in Northern Ireland than there is in the rest of the UK. I go to London and I can travel on public transport relatively easily if I want to. To be honest, I work in those places, but if I wanted to get onto a bus or on the tube, most of the time I can do it because I'm travelling on main artillery networks when I'm there. But it's a different scenario as the further you go out from the centre hub, it becomes more fragmented, and I think that's something we need to look at down the line as well. The further away from the centre, if something you move, the more seams there are to disability access, and that's something that...
And the interesting thing is, the further away from the centre you move, actually the more you probably need the transport as well, the more access you probably need.
That's the thing about me. Whenever I'm in London, I stay central. I stay right on the bank of the London Eye. I can walk
right in the middle.
There's times if the weather's extreme that I will need to hop on the tube, but it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. This is the thing. I think it's good to catch up on what's been going on over the past few weeks, and we'll be keeping an eye on how things progress transport-wise throughout the coming year ahead. Do get in touch. Let us know if you've had any problems where you are. What are the differences, maybe in your culture, in your society? Maybe you have completely different regulations. What are the problems that you're going through? Good to catch up. And like, share and subscribe as always. And we'll see you all real soon. Bye bye.
All the best. Bye.